Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here with us as we explore the future of data driven decision making with Wizard, our AI Agentic Framework, transforming how organizations orchestrate analytics workflows for strategic growth. I'm Vaishnavi Golapudi, your moderator and Director of Marketing at Systec. Today, we'll take you inside Wizard Core, the engine powering agentic intelligence that seamlessly connects multiple agents, enhancing decision making and empowering IT teams to focus on strategic priorities, and all while staying agile. Right? And to break this down from agentic intelligence to data architecture and governance, we have two of Systec's brightest minds with us, Sunil and Deepan. Welcome to this webinar today. Sunil Kumar Arjun Prasad, VP of Products Engineering. Sunil is the visionary behind Wizard, building intuitive next-gen data products that turn complexity into clarity. Right, and welcome Sunil. Deepan. Deepan is the data visualization practice leader, and Deepan's deep expertise in data architecture and analytics has shaped the robust data foundation powering Wizard for seamless insights. So before we get started, a quick note on housekeeping. We'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box at any time. And with that, let's get started. Sunil and Deepan, the floor is yours. Let's dive into how Wizard brings language and reasoning to life.
Thanks, Vaishnavi. Excited to be here and welcome everybody. I just wanted to start with this, concept of what this Wizard product is all about. In Wizard, a specialist which has the expertise in, say, domain multi-functionality, coupled with a technical ability to actually understand the data and even write a code, right? So in a typical environment of a business analyst team, if you look at that, the core functionality of a business analyst too, obviously because they have expertise in understanding the business so well, but they often lack this clarity of how to actually go and query the table, or maybe write up a program or SQL languages to really extract some information from the tables. They try to rely on some of the dashboards or the reports that is already available to them. So it's not very much interactively that they are able to interact with the data, which they should be doing it. And that somehow hinders their actual, I would say, fullest performances or fullest potential that they should be actually be operating on a business environment or business scenario. That's where Wizard come in, and we have created this product obviously on top of this, the promise of the latest and the greatest AI models which is available in the market in a multi-agentic AI system. What it means is that you have a powerful state-of-the-art reasoning models behind the scene, which is actually operating in a way that it is able to answer or probably do the kind of jobs of how generally, or in fact, I would say mirroring up the reasoning process of an analyst, or maybe call it as an engineer or a scientist, data scientist, in an actual sense, and then giving you the prepared output analysis in a very formatted way. So consider this as a kind of like a virtual assistance, a virtual analyst, which is created to give you a kind of like a power of collaborating with the business analyst team, of course, to kind of like really give you a power of to go much more efficient on the actual business practices that you are performing, and expediting your business analysis, even automating some of the part of the business's processes which you think you do it repetitively or probably requires some level of reasoning or intelligence, which generally you offload it to maybe a junior analyst or probably an intern. So these all the processes is something that can be obviously automated, and I'll tell you how do we achieve it. Going next, and I just want to kind of like give you a kind of like a system design of how these all things really comes to life. This is overall the kind of a design of Wizard. It actually comes with two different flavors of analysis that could be performed on an enterprise data. I would say more of like a data warehouse or a tables, or even maybe going on to the documents or the text data set that you might already be having in the enterprise. The first part of the Wizard is called Wizard Core, and the second part of the Wizard is called Doc Pro AI. We will be focusing on the wizard code in today's webinar. So I will just try to kind of like give you a flavor of what is actually wizard code and how does it perform things, followed by a demo that we have it, which Deepan will be presenting it later on this webinar. So if you start looking at it, obviously the interaction or the kind of a touch point for anybody who wants to use a wizard is going to be a multimodal user interface. Like, you ask a question either in a written text language, which is purely the natural language that you give question, or you ask question verbally, just speak the question that you might have, questions which is very much related to your business processes. Taking that question that you have just asked, the wizard has its own inbuilt agents, which is actually a multi-agent by itself in nature. What it does is that it takes a question, natural language question, and then tries to analyze it, and then tries to create a plan to how to best serve your particular question. Typically, like how generally an analyst or maybe a data engineer would probably think about it. Like, it just takes a question first and then tries to understand what kind of tables that is available or what kind of data set which is available within your enterprise, which might serve answer to those questions that you have just asked. So identifying the right table, right relational table, right fact tables, dimension tables, combining all these together, and probably, and then on top of it, it just creates maybe obviously a SQL on top of it dynamically. Everything has been done dynamically. And based on that, it executes it and then gets the output data into a raw format, and then summarize this data into a very plain English language, which is where you ask the question on, and then even tries to visualize it wherever it's possible, and then gives you answers in a very effective way that generally works most of the time. Some of the agents that I want to probably highlight here is that there are some reporter agents, there are assistant agents, analyst, data scientist agent, collaborator agents, and engineers. What it means is that these are all specific team. If you look at that, typically this is how the a data engineering team or maybe a business analyst team is typically constitutes of in an enterprise setup probably. These are all independent agents which has specific roles which is already defined for them. They take the input as a question, obviously, and then they have a knowledge base available within the setup of the wizard, which we actually provide while we do the setup of the wizard. And based on that knowledge base, it tries to find out what the best way to first retrieve the data, analyze the data into multiple facets, like, in case of like a deeper analysis or maybe a direct analysis, or in case of sometimes you might have to do a statistical analysis or maybe forecasting or prediction. It automatically understands the question, tries to go back in the scene, works with your enterprise data, and then present the output in a very seamless manner. It does have some of the validation process automatically built in. Like, for example, sometimes, we always see that there are some kind of an inconsistency that sometimes the LLM or largely AI model produce. So there's a validator, which is an independent entity, which is also make sure that the output generated by these AI models is automatically been corrected and is aligns to the the policies or the guardrails of the enterprise, and then present the output as best as possible, following all the policies and the compliances of the company. So that's pretty much how this system design looked like it. If I can go a little down onto how will you probably be looking at it as how it looks into a more of an architectural details. So our wizard actually sits on top of a core orchestration platform, and here is where you define what kind of compute you will be providing. Obviously, because we are working on a scale of Gen AI models, which is generally a larger size. So you probably would be have to have a compute being defined already. API and the memory and the tools that has to be defined. That is automatically come in with the packaged format of a wizard. Once we do the deployment, we take care of the entire setup of this whole design or architecture. On top of it, we have a data stack, which is where the model, all the modality of the data that is available within the enterprise of the company which come on the picture. We plug that out here and with the wizard. We have a AI model stack, which is a combination of all the large language models, small language models, specialized model to serve the kind of like effectiveness of how these agents can perform on a setup of wizard. And then we have a wizard built-in agent. So basically, the wizard comes with the two types of an agent. One which is out-of-box wizard comes with like analyst, data scientist, data engineer, AI engineer, and collaboration. And on top of it, there is always an option of creating a custom agent, which is pretty much kind of like serving a specific need of a businesses that can be created on top of Wizard. So that's where you probably will be maybe productionizing some of the very specific use cases, like maybe either you want to do a sales process automation, or you want to do a supply chain process automation, or something like very very niche, like maybe underwriting, or maybe a risk management, or maybe a financial kind of a reporting kind of a thing. These all things can be specifically defined, and that can be created on top of Wizard. Just one more slide I don't want to overwhelm with a lot of details here, but just wanted to kind of give you a kind of a setup of how Wizard really fit into a already existing enterprise setup that you might already have it in a company. It has the ability to connect with your existing data warehouses, existing data lakes, and this whole center part of it, which is the AI agent multi-agent system, is something that comes with the Wizard, along with obviously the observability and guardrails that can be provided on top of it. And I've been connecting with the AI API traffic and the user governance and the data policies, which can be applied on top of it based on the specific need of an enterprise. So with that, I just wanted to hand it over to Deepan, who can give you a quick demo of the Wizard. So Deepan, let's fire up the demo, please.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thanks, Sunil. Hey, Hal. I welcome you to the Wizard application demo. So let's quickly jump into the Wizard core module. So what we have here is retail sales data. So now let's see how we can have Wizard talking to the data. So let me just type in a question. Show me sales volume by product segment. So let's see how what data we have. So here we have something called as show trace. So this will tell you what is happening in the backend. So whatever that Sunil had walked through us, so that's something that you can start seeing here, right? So the first step, so the question that the user has given, so it is interpreting the question and tries to classify it as a SQL question. So this is a data retrieval question, and it is trying to classify it as a SQL question. So the next step, it tries to understand what is the required information that is required for it to construct a SQL query, right? Key components like metrics, dimensions, attributes, all those. Then it tries to generate the SQL query, and you can actually see the SQL query that it has generated here, right? And then the SQL query is fired against the database, the data is retrieved, and then the data is then shared to the visualization agent. So this is where, the mass works, multi-agent system, right? So the data is then transferred to the visualization agent that analyzes the data and then figures out what type of visualization needs to be shown for this data set. And then the data is presented for your consumption, right? So you can see clearly, so the different product segments that we have, and it has beautifully given it in a pie chart. So it understands that this data needs to be presented in a pie chart for it to be consumed, right? So you can see the different, product segments and the contribution of their product segments in sales, right? And in addition to that, you also have key insights. So there is an analysis agent that works. So it analyzes the data and then it provides key insights. So here the popular segment is the highest performing, suggesting a focus on maintaining its strong consumer demand. So yeah, that's the bigger pie of the chunk. The wine segment requires target strategies to enhance market presence due to its lower sales volume. So wine is the lowest, so there needs to be some importance given to that. Balanced performance, so luxury, premium, and artillery segment calls for sustainable marketing. So they are balanced, right? And prestige segment performance indicates potential for strategic improvement. So this is something prescriptive. So now that we have seen what data that we have, so and then how Wizard enables users to talk to the data, right? So let's see if we can do some analysis on top of it. So for the analysis, so I have already done a few analysis. So let me just walk you through that. So let's look at what are the years of data that we have. So what we have is data from 2018 to 2020. 2018 and 2019 looks similar in sales, and then 2020 we see some decline with 13.06 million, right? So that's the same the analysis agent has done. So it has understood the analysis is for 2018 to 2020. 2018 and 2019 are similar, where there is 13.66 and 13.6685. but there is a significant drop in 2020 in 13 with 13.063, and that can be something that can be attributed to COVID-19 pandemic, is what they are trying to say. And that's the same is highlighted in the key insights as well. So now that we know that there is a drop in 2020, so let's see if we can do some diagnostic analysis using Wizard, right? So I'm just trying to dig a little deeper into monthly sales trend, right? Show me volume sales by month for 2020. So I can see here, so it understood that this is a trend analysis. We have not mentioned that it is a trend analysis, but it was able to understand that this is a trend analysis, and it was able to plot that in a trend chart, right? And here you can clearly see that December was one that has contributed to the drop in sales. And that's the same that, the insights is also saying. Between January to November, the sales is constant with a 1.1 to 1.4 million. But December, there is a sharp decline. Okay. So now that we know that December has contributed, let's try and see, shift gears and look at a different dimension and then see if what is contributing to this, right? So that's all, that is what is all about, diagnostic analysis, right? So show me percentage difference between November and December for volume sales by product segment. So here, so it has now compared November sales and December sales and then given me a percentage difference for each of the product segment. But what we see is it is the same across all. There is a significant drop around 45 to 50%, 55% across all the product segments, right? And that's the same that, the key insights also giving us, right? So here it's a drop across all the product segments. There is not one particular product segment that has contributed to the decline in sales. So let's see if there is anything with specific to a region. Let's shift gears and then look at region analysis, right? Show me difference between November and December 2020 for volume sales by states, right? So again, so for all the states, it has done a differential analysis and then given me what is the difference. So we see the highest difference in TS state, RJ, ACE, and for MH, right? So and then the key insights quickly summarizes it for you. Significant sales volume decline observed in major states such as TS, AS, GA, and MH. Minor growth recorded in PAY and NL. So for us to actually understand this in the chart, right? So it is in the chart is little difficult, but this was able to understand that and then give us as key insight. There is minor growth recorded in PY and NL, so that is something as a good factor, right? And overall downward trend suggests a need strategic intervention either through marketing or operational efficiency improvements. So it is also giving suggestions of what can be done, right? So now that we have done the descriptive and diagnostic analysis using Wizard, so let's say what if I don't have the time, I want someone else to do this for me, and is there an analyst? Yes, we do have an analyst in Wizard, right? So you can just fire up a question why there is a drop in sales in December 2020 on several states, right? So I'll just quickly show you the trace. So the query is received and then it understands that's a BA question. So now it is not just a SQL retrieval question. Now it is a business analyst question. So it fires up the query and then understands retrieves the data for each of the states and for November and December, and then tries to understand it more by calculating the difference and then the percentage variance also, right? So then it tries to do multiple analysis on top of this data and then give you the results, right? So now you have the results here. So what are the different insights that we have? Key insights: significant drop. Meghalaya experienced a significant decrease, 55.22%. So Meghalaya, yes. So Meghalaya, there is a major decrease of 55.22%. Followed by head office, which is 17.3, and Gujarat is minus 16.10%. But the numbers are not actually high in these regions. So consistent declines. States like Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Jammu and Kashmir, so consistent declines around 6 to 9%. Data gaps. December data was absent for several states, including Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and other including states. So this is the contributing factor. So there was no sales recorded for these regions, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and other states, right? So that's something that you can see. Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and West Bengal. There is no sales that has been recorded in these states for December, right? So these are the issues that these are the reasons why there is a decline in sales. Positive growth. Nagaland and Puducherry experienced minor positive growth despite the overall trend. So this is clearly analyzed and then jotted down in points for us to take notes, right? So this is completely a work of a BA. So now we have looked at descriptive, diagnostic, and BA analyst, right? So let's see if we can also do some predictive work here, right? So I'm just trying to see if I can predict the Q4 sales of wine product segment with Q3 given data, right? So let me go and show you the trace here for you to take a look at it. So the query is given, the question is given, and then it is classified as an ML question. So now it again tries to collect all the required data to generate a SQL query, and then it generates the SQL query. And then it also verifies whether the generated SQL query aligns with the table and column requirements, right? So validates that and then fires the query and then gets the answers, data. So once the data is there, then it performs statistical analysis. So it does the statistical analysis, finds mean, max, min, all those analysis. And then it also figures out if there is any missing values or duplicate rows and all those checks and balances. And then it aggregates the data for each of the month and then runs the forecasting cluster, right? And then now you can see the results here. So it just not only says the key insights, but also it gives you what are the highlights. No missing values were found in the dataset. So that's a good note. So it is checking for that. So how many records were processed for focusing on the wine product segment? Data was aggregated month level to facilitate time series forecasting. So it gives a clear insight for even a data scientist to understand what actually it has done, right? So is it doing the right thing or not? And then you can also look at the model performance. So it tries against different model. So since this is a trend related, and there is a time series seasonality that is associated to it. So it has used S-Arima Max model instead of normal Arima model, right? And then you see, what are the values for July, August, and September for Q3, and then the predicted values for October, November, and December. And then the business insight to, the consistent forecasted sales volume indicates stable demand for the wine product segment in the upcoming quarter. This insights can help inventory and products. So if you see the sales has been consistent across all the previous months, and the predicted values is also reflecting the same. And then it was able to predict give the same in a chart format for your consumption, easy consumption. Right? So whatever that we have seen right now, descriptive, diagnostic, exploratory, or predictive analysis, all these are something that will either take hours or weeks, days for you to analyze using a traditional approach, right? With Wizard, it's a child's play, and it's available in minutes for your consumption, right? So you can talk to your data, you can do all analysis on your data, right? So that's what Wizard is all about. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Deepan. That was an incredible sneak peek into what Wizard Core can do. And thank you, Sunil, for sharing your valuable insights on the architecture behind it and, taking us through under the hood of what Wizard is actually. I'm sure seeing Wizard in action sparks some curiosity. So let's open it up for Q&A. Just as a reminder, feel free to type in your questions into the Q&A box on the control panel, and we'll get to as many as we can. You can also drop the questions on LinkedIn. Right, okay, I see the questions trickle in. Let's begin with this. We have the first question from the audience. How does Wizard adapt to my enterprise's unique data definitions, schemas, and business rules without extensive re-engineering?
Okay, so the thing is that we have this Wizard is actually is actually sits on top of your enterprise data. Now, yes, the question is obvious that, just the enterprise data might not be very much comprehensible, but for the models to, just start looking at what fact table or what dimension table has what kind of an information. So Wizard comes with its own, while we do the setup of the Wizard, we just kind of like give a provision that we kind of like give a kind of, we create a kind of like a catalog or the metadata of all the tables that you already have it within your enterprise in a very English, definition kind of a thing, which actually becomes the base of wizards to refer while they are trying to interpret a question that is coming up inbound from the user. So for example, if I would say you might be having a way to analyze your profit margin. Now, the calculation or the computation for a profit margin is actually been something which is a computation that is something that you do it most of the time, or probably you might have it been already been computed, but you have kept it in a kind of like a field in a table of a fact table, which is like a, maybe your P&L fact table, things like that. There, if you think it's something which needs to be computed on the fly whenever you are trying to ask this profit margin question, this definition of how you calculate the profit margin has to be applied, and that has to be baked into kind of like a SQL that will be created on while to answer that question. So these are the kind of annotation, or I would say business glossary, is something that requires to be added, and as much you can make that more rich, and as much you make it available upfront. If you already have that level of documentation within your enterprise, you bring it up from upfront, and the quality of the output and the quality of the query generation will be really very of the high quality. And that's a document which is which can be updated all the time, which can be updated based on the kind of query output that you see. Suppose there are some kind of questions or queries is computing some of the KPIs incorrectly. That can be fixed by making sure that you have the right references or the right way of how you do the business has been defined in these level of metadata. So that's how pretty much it can be done.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for that, Sunil. Moving on, we'll go to the next question. We have this question from another attendee. If my organization already has a secure data environment, how does Wizard ensure that AI automation doesn't expose sensitive data to external models?
So I think the question that you're asking is this: the data is getting exposed to the external hosted API or hosted model.
Yes,
Obviously, out of box, we use the best available model in the world, and which is currently mostly hosted. But there is always an option of having an equally powerful model being available on premise as well. Just that it probably might require some of the compute, which is going to be of a larger size. But Wizard has an option of doing both hosted deployment, or it can be done on premise as well. So either way, if it is an on premise, the complete API transactions with the model remains within the enterprise, and nothing goes outside. But the other cases is that quick and easy way to try test the model, and if it all works for you, it can be hosted where you can test the Wizard, and we can still have the if you want to go productionize, you can go in production with the hosted model. That option is also there, because the hosted models also comes with its own compliance guidelines. It doesn't actually use your data for any of the training or any of the sharing of the information to anything else third party. So but the option with Wizard is that it can work both as an offline or as a hosted model setup.
Oh, thanks for that, Sunil. All right. So the next one. All right. I think this is a very relevant question. We have well-defined methods for identifying issues. So the client says they have a well-defined method for identifying issues. Can Wizard learn from our existing processes and automate deeper analysis without disrupting workflows?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I did talk about the custom agents that can be created on top of Wizard, apart from the built-in agent, which Deepan just highlighted. So the custom agents is where you probably can put up all those business processes that you have specifically. All you need to do is to define your business processes pretty clearly. And once you define the business processes, you can also define the objectives and then the validation criteria and then the outcomes. Once that definition is all set, we can create a custom agent on top of this definition. And that will be something which can be used for, doing the business process automation for some of those, specific cases that you might be working on. So yes, there's a possibility. Maybe I think I would suggest maybe you talk to us. We can connect and look at exactly the kind of a case that you have, and then we can probably quickly, prove it out into the wizard of how easily that can be done. So yeah, it'll be interesting. You just let us know, and we can probably, go with this. We can work on it.
Makes sense, Sunil. So thank you for that. It looks like we are at the end, of our time today, but we'll sneak in one more question. Right, we do have this question from an attendee and they ask, what changes, if any, should we make to our data infrastructure to fully leverage Wizard while maintaining data governance?
The setup of the wizard is not going to be requiring any of the changes per se in your existing data infrastructure. It is going to be coming up and then we can set it up. I think Deepan, do you want to take a stab on to how this governance policies generally, which is already available within the enterprise, can be applied in Wizard?
Sure, Sunil. So see. Wizard is basically at the consuming end of the data, right? So if you already have a data warehouse and if you already have a data catalog as part of your data governance strategy, right? Wizard is going to consume this and then provide results that is consumable, right? So it well sits in your data governance strategy. So be it any visualization tool that is available in the market. So Wizard works something similar to that, but much more proficient in a way.
Yeah, as just to summarize that, it doesn't require to change anything in your existing infrastructure. It's just that the adjustment can be done from the Wizard level in terms of how we can make few of the tweaking or probably enrich the metadata that I just talked about to accommodate all the governance policy that you might be already having in enterprise.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deepan. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for all the questions and staying engaged. And once again, thank you to Sunil and Deepan for sharing your insights. We appreciate everyone joining us today. And if you have any follow-up questions, just want to add to what Sunil said. If you have any follow-up questions and you want to learn more, so please do feel free to reach out to us. With that, we wrap today's session. Thanks for joining us today. We are excited about the possibilities with Wizard, and this is just the beginning. Next week, we'll dive into Wizard Doc Pro AI and its impact on document processing. So I'm sure a lot of you are interested in that. A big thank you to Sunil and Deepan for their insights and to all of you for participation. We'll be sharing the recording and the QA report soon. For more questions or a deeper dive, reach out to marketing@systechusa.com. And before you go, please fill out the survey. It will definitely help us improve. Thanks once again and see you next time.